Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Soulful Hunter Podcast. I'm your host, Johnny Mack. Through this podcast, I'm on a mission to transform lives through primal adventure and to spread my mission of mentorship as conservation. This podcast is powered by Washington Backcountry, a resource for all hunters, both new and old. To find out more about Washington Backcountry, go to wabackcountry.com or search for Washington Backcountry on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. The Soulful Hunter Podcast is also proudly presented by the Crazy Elk Company. Based out of the state of Washington with products made in America, they are providing solutions with gear to problems you didn't even know you had. Their tag wallet is one of those solutions, and I had the pleasure of using it on all of my hunts this last year, and it is now a mainstay in my kill kit. The tag wallet is a water-resistant zippered pouch that comes with its own reusable zip ties to safely and securely store your notch tag for quick and easy access. For more information, go to crazyelkcompany.com and use the code SOULFUL with a capital S to save 20% at checkout. Be blessed, everyone, and as always, stay soulful. This podcast is also proudly brought to you by OnX Hunt. When I first got into hunting, I kept hearing all about public land and different access and how to find different locations to hunt. I was like, well, how are people even identifying all this stuff? Well, sure enough, I came across the number one hunting GPS app, and that is OnX Hunt. If you guys want to get better at hunting and go deeper into your scouting, OnX Hunt is the number one GPS app for that. Join the millions of hunters who trust OnX Hunt to find more game, discover new access, and hunt smarter. It was a game changer for me, and I know it's going to be a game changer for you if you've never used it. If you have used it, you know the power that it holds. Guys, I really hope you enjoy this episode. If you want to know more about OnX, go to onxmaps.com/hunt and check out their app. Be blessed, freedom on, and stay soulful. Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of the podcast. I'm really excited to bring this with you. Today's guest is with Rich Gonzales, just an absolute awesome human being, and you're going to really enjoy this episode. We're diving into predator hunting. We're talking thermal optics. We're talking everything under the sun, and it's a really, really phenomenal episode. Also, today, the 29th, is the very last day to vote for Soul Seekers on Carbontv.com for Best Show Open. So, once again, go to Carbontv.com and go vote for Soul Seekers for Best Show Open. It'd mean the world to me because this is a competition I would love to win, and I need all of your support to help us accomplish this. Also, we're going to go with a title change here. So just once again, giving all of you a heads up that the Soulful Hunter podcast is going to be transferring into Soul Seekers podcast starting in September. And I want to make sure everyone's up to date on that. Be on the lookout. The Soulful Hunter Podcast Instagram account will be shifting everyone over towards the Soul Seekers page, which is currently Washington Backcountry. And I'm really excited to bring all this content to all of you. Be blessed. Thank you so much for tuning this episode. If you like this episode, if you like this podcast, please like, share, and subscribe. Also, leave a rating. It'd really help us out. Be blessed, everybody. Talk soon. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Soulful Hunter Podcast. I'm your host, Johnny Mack, and tonight I am joined by just a wonderful, wonderful savage himself, somebody who I got to honor to meet at the Western Hunt Expo this last February down in Salt Lake City, and one of our mutual friends introduced us, and that is Big Al Morris of Foxpro TV, and he's like, hey, have you met my friend Rich? I'm like, no, I haven't. I got to meet Rich. And so when Big Al gives a recommendation, you got to follow through. And so we got tonight Rich Gonzales on the show, and I can't wait to dive into everything. Rich is a field staff and videographer with Foxpro TV. He's also social manager for Black Diamond Optics. And if you haven't checked out Black Diamond Optics, very high quality stuff. I didn't even know about Black Diamond Optics until I went to the Western Hunt Expo this last year. And I specifically have my eye on their thermal optics because they are mind-blowing how absolutely fascinating they are. But Rich, my brother, what's happening, man?
How are you? Thanks for having me, Johnny. This is my first time doing a podcast, and I couldn't think of a better place to do it with Soulful Hunter. You know what I mean?
I really appreciate it, brother. Well, I'm raising a glass of bourbon right here and toasting you because you are a stud, and I'm honored to pop your podcast cherry tonight here as we as we get this party started.
Hell yeah.
I love it. I love it. Okay, so Rich, for all the listeners who might not know who you are if they don't follow Foxpro or any of that, give a little background on yourself and how you got into the hunting industry.
Oh man, this could go on. So originally I'm from Vermont. What brought me out west was the Air Force, and I've stayed here since I got out, and I still work for the government in the Air Force. I'm like you, Johnny. I'm a kind of a late bloomer when it comes to the hunting thing. You know, my brother was a big hunter. I was a semi-pro skateboarder, snowboarder, and he was always hunting. And I've found out what girls were, and he'd go hunting, and he'd be like, "Bro, wake up! I just shot a buck." And I'm like, "I just got home from Canada. We partied all night." Yeah, so I got a late start like you. I moved out west, got into elk hunting, and then predator hunting took over for me. So I've been doing predator hunts, hunting coyotes for about 16 years now.
Wow.
And that was a mistake. I was on base working, and I mean, I fall into these places and just get stuck and don't do anything half-assed. It's just not in my blood, you know? So I meet a guy at work. He's struggling. I introduce myself. We became friends. He gets a divorce. I say, "Hey, you're struggling. Come live with us for a year. Get on your feet." He had a little boy. And he says, "I don't know how to repay you." And I said, "I don't know either." And he says, "Well, let's go coyote hunting. I can show you how to coyote hunt." And then his exact words, Burnell Roberts, his exact words, we're still best friends to this day. He says, "I'm sorry, but this may ruin you from big game hunting and everything else that you like to do. And I'm telling you, the mileage on the truck and the wallet hurt monthly because of coyote hunting."
Oh,
but I love
man.
it. But yeah,
I want to know
it's
more,
awesome.
but that's quite an introduction for us. Like, how can I repay you?
Yeah.
Let me teach you how to hunt predators, coyote hunting
Yeah.
specifically.
And the crazy thing, his dad's the state trapper. It was in this area for 40 something years. Coyote hunting tactics and everything back when I started hunting was very secretive. And as you know now, it still is. You know, it's hard to get people to take you out and, "Hey, what are you doing different than me?" Go to a seminar, pick up a book, watch YouTube, watch Foxpro Hunting TV, and just dive in. And that's what I did with this guy. And now we just still coyote hunt and deer hunt and big game hunt. But yeah, so the first hunt that I was like most people, I didn't want to hunt predators. I thought they looked like dogs to me. Everyone says that they're too much like a dog. So I shoot my first bull elk in 2007 in the Uinta Mountains with him, and he says, let's try to get a grand slam and go shoot you a buck over here on the way back to Utah." So we cross over in the Crawford Mountains and then back over into a place called Birch Creek, one of his honey holes. And we get there and I'm glassing, and there's some deer, and then there's a coyote chasing the fawn. And then it runs into the cedars, and 6 does chase this coyote out. And at that moment, I knew I had to do my part. And I was like, they're not like dogs. You just can't pet those. So, and then that's when we started hunting coyotes. And it got, yeah,
Dude,
it's crazy.
You're all over the place. I got so many questions I need to ask. So did you fill your deer tag?
Later that season I did.
Okay,
on
so
base.
it wasn't on that
I
trip.
drew a tag, I drew a special permit, and actually shot one on Hill Air Force Base here in Utah.
Oh, that's awesome. That is awesome.
Yeah.
So you shoot your first bull elk and you see a coyote and you're like, "Oh, okay. Okay."
Yeah.
And
it
that
just
was
gets
it.
in your blood. Yep. And then after that, Bernie took me out, and I just got hooked instantly. I don't know if it's the fact of calling a predator or being hunted. I don't know what it does for me, but most guys that stick with that, it's the adrenaline dump. I mean, every time you call a predator, your heart's jumping out of your chest. And when that day comes out, it doesn't excite me. I'll have to quit and find something else. But
Dude,
yeah,
I totally get that because I don't have buck fever. I had my first time a bull elk came into me. I had, I was shaking like a little girl, just, but that was also my first time archery hunting when that happened. So like a lot that was going on. However, I still to this day, every time a coyote runs into me, like to a call, not like stumbling upon one or seeing one,
Right.
but when you bring an animal into you, dude, talk about coyote fever. I feel like it's not talked about in the hunting industry or in the hunting
It's
realm.
not.
When you
Yeah,
bring something to you, it's so much different.
it is. It's very unique. It's a language you have to learn. It's cool. But
So,
I love elk hunting, and I did start bow hunting when I was 13 in Vermont, whitetails, and I never was successful because, like I said, I found girls and, skateboarded a lot, and I had other things going on, but
dude,
I'm glad
okay.
I moved west.
So
I love it.
you haven't met my hunting partner Two Shot Tony. He hopefully you get to meet him at the Hunt Expo this coming year. He is a stud, phenomenal at everything he touches. He touches something and it turns to gold. He's our video editor for Soul Seekers, and the first guy I recruited to start hunting with me. Well,
It's a fantastic show, by the way.
oh, thank you, man. I really appreciate
It
that. I really
Yeah,
appreciate that. It's well, as you know, it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of effort to be able to. It's a different
it
dynamic
does.
between just going hunting and going hunting and filming everything that you do.
That's the biggest thing, that there's so much crap talked on social media, about tactics and the way people are hunting and this and that, and like Big Al will tell you, anybody can go shoot stuff. Just putting it on film's a whole nother ball game. We get so many YouTube comments, and we're just like, how many you got on film? Oh yeah, thanks.
Right?
Exactly.
Right?
So people don't understand. It's work,
Yeah.
stressful. It can be
It
stressful.
adds another layer that you have to actually be full on committed to in order to have the camera out and rolling all the time. The minute that you
Yes.
put that camera away or you turn it off, all of a sudden it's like, oh, something happened and you're screwed.
Yeah, big time. There's so much to learn, and I'm still learning, and I'm thankful to be doing it, but it does add another layer of stress and work, and yeah,
Dude, okay, so let's get to that here. We're going to put a pin in that and get to that here in a second. Let's talk about coyote fever. And let's talk about predator hunting and bringing stuff to you. You still, like to this day, just get jazzed every single time a coyote comes running in.
every time, without a doubt. Day or night, I hunt day and I hunt thermal, and I don't know what it does. It's like reliving the first hunt every time for me.
Why
And
do
if you ask most predator guys, they'll tell you the same thing.
dude, okay, so was I a guest on a podcast recently or oh no, this was after one of my podcasts I released. Actually, it was with or recorded. It was with Justin Sparks of Cryptech.
Okay.
I recorded with him this last week. His episode will be coming out here in the month of August. Actually, by the time this one releases, it will be out already. And he was getting to know me, and he was asking me, he's like, "So, what are your favorite animals to hunt?" I was like, "Well, number one is black bear, hands down. Black bear
I've
hunt.
never done it.
You just blew my mind right now. You never black bear
I,
hunted.
I hunt coyote 365.
Okay, so it went black bear is above everything. Elk hunting is special in its own regard. But what got me into hunting, which a lot of people don't realize this, is coyote hunting. I was coaching 4 sports a year, I was full-time teacher, doing all sorts of stuff, and hunting season, it wasn't really I couldn't get out for more than maybe a Saturday or part of a Saturday and a Sunday. I was coaching high school football as a D coordinator, a lot of responsibilities. So September, October, November, it was all busted up. And so I was like, well, how do I get into hunting? I had an AR. I loved guns. I was like, dude, I'm going coyote hunting. And that was my start to predator hunting.
Very cool.
Drove out to North Dakota and had a buddy. Shout out to Jeff Winslow. He was with me when I called in my very first coyote. Oh, wait, no, hold on. No, when I shot my very first coyote. My very first time I actually called in a coyote, I brought my wife, who was a couple months pregnant at the time, drove up into the hills of the state of Washington, and I'm like, babe, I got this tiny little hand call. I'm like, this is what Big Al does on Foxpro TV. Because at that time, I was just like consuming as much coyote content as I could. She's pregnant. She's like, well, do I have cell service? I was like, yeah. So she sits down next to me. She's like scrolling her phone, like on Facebook or whatever. I'm just like, 30 minutes to the T. It came right when I was like, well, you're supposed to sit on a stand for 30 minutes, then get up and move. So at 30 minutes, this coyote comes in exactly where I expected it to. And I should have laid the hammer on it. But I was so like blown away that a coyote actually came to my call that I was like, hey, babe, there's a coyote. There's a coyote. And I started shaking and I was like, and then I missed.
That's the fever, man. That's the fever. And when you skin one, you realize that they're, 6 inches wide at the chest and 8 inches tall, at the chest if you raise it to the top to the bottom. It's a small target.
Yeah.
So if you're shaking, and baking because you got the fever. Yeah.
Dude, I'll tell you, I feel like everyone, I don't like to shit on people. If you're a hunter, I believe that it would be good and proper form for everybody to get good at predator hunting. Get out and practice. The whole concept of like cross training back in the day is lost nowadays. Everyone's more like a one sport athlete, it seems like, at least coming from my PE and coaching experience. Well, hunting's kind of the same way in that regard. It's like, oh, I'm a duck hunter. I'm a waterfowl hunter. I'm going to waterfowl hunt. I used to big game hunt. I might dabble, but now I'm waterfowl. It's like, dude, do it all. But
that's what I do.
At the same time, jack of all trades, ace of none. So I don't know. We'll
see. Same here.
Yeah.
Same here.
So, so you tell us about this journey. Like, what was the first coyote that you actually shot and smoked and like?
So that was so we my buddy is a guide on a ranch here, and we get access to go over there, and there's 2 feet of snow, and I got the fever because I've seen one now, and I've seen a couple come to the call, and I didn't even have a good coyote gun. I brought my 30-06, the good old Vermont country boy, Green Mountain gun, 30-06, not a coyote gun. We go hike up 2 feet of snow on this ridge at the ranch. We call a pair across this sage flat, and they're coming. And then they get underneath us, which is in the coyote world. The coyote gets underneath you, and you can't see them. All hell breaks loose when they pop up because you don't know where they're going to be. Well, this one, the thermals changed, and the wind was blowing right down, and it turns, and my buddy spots it at 300 yards, and it's running up the hill. And, of course, it's when they're spread out like long, you got more of a target. And I put it on its face and hit it in the back and spined it. It was dead. And that was my first one. I skinned it out. I still have it hanging on the wall downstairs. Yes. You only get one first, Johnny, for everything. And I try to sacrifice those memories. Yeah, see? Yeah. We got like 3 of those downstairs. Yep.
Coyote Euros are awesome.
Yes.
Especially a lot of people will just like boil them. But when you beetle the nose, I don't know if you can see that right there.
And I have a beetled one downstairs.
Oh, dude, a beetled coyote skull is phenomenal.
Yeah, I have a bobcat and a gray fox skull downstairs that were beetled. My friend has beetles, so yeah, dude, it's awesome.
So you dropped a coyote at 300 yards on your very first one.
With a 30-06 on the run. Yeah. Lucky.
That's quite a shot. That's quite a poke. The old Kentucky windage, just kind of put it up there
for sure.
And let it fly.
Yeah, that was early in my hunting starts here in the West, and it hooked me. Yeah, line and sinker, man. Like my roommate, well, Bernie at the time, that we had to move in and help out. He had a Foxpro Fury, so when he would go work, I'd steal his Foxpro. I'm taking the Foxpro, and back then, they were $300, and I was like, shit, that's a lot of money.
Yeah,
and now it's just my lifestyle. I love it,
dude. he paid you rent. It's like I'm gonna use this.
No, I
Don't
never
mind me.
charged him, man. I never charged him. He had another shot at life, and he's, on his feet doing good. He's got kids and he's happy, and yeah, he is the exact thing that you talk about every time you do a podcast is the mentorship. And he mentored me into being a better person, and I wouldn't be where I am without him. And I pulled him up out of a spot. He was in a bad spot, and it just worked out. And we were strangers, you know.
Yeah.
It was awesome, and that's what hunting has done for me, is made me a better person through meeting awesome people. And
Dude,
I just hope we can continue giving that back. You know what I mean?
Rich, you are just
It's
like on
cool.
fire right now. I'm feeling it, brother. I love it. Well, it says in the good book, the Bible, it says, no greater love than this, than a man lay down his life for another. And the whole point of that is the fact that you would sacrifice your time, your energy, your means, whatever, for others. It all comes down to love, loving one
For sure.
another. And you opened up your home and you loved this man and you allowed him to have a second shot. And through that, he introduced you to something that has now created a love in your own life. And that's why we always talk about on this podcast that you cannot outgive good. When you put good out into the world, it is just a natural transformation of a slingshot, and it just boomerangs right back to you.
It is. It really is. I'm very lucky and fortunate to have that scenario go down, and it's what I am today and what I love today. And my house is decorated with nothing but furs and skulls and antlers, and I don't know what else I'd be doing if that didn't happen.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'd be finding something to do, but this has been such a journey, and the people I've met on it, it's to some it's small, but to me it means everything, because I'm a Vermont boy living out west. I don't have any family here. My friends are my family, and that's really how I've always looked at it. So everybody I come in contact with, they're family to me. If we break bread together, dude, yeah,
Dude,
we're going to war. We
that,
have to.
that's what I'm talking about, brother.
Yeah.
Yes, you're getting me all jacked right now. What was your role in the military, by the way?
So I started out in Vermont Air National Guard back in 2000. Went to basic. Come back from basic, and you go to tech school, and then you go to on the job training in the Air Force. So you're part of the unit full time. Well, at the time, I worked midnight shift at Ben and Jerry's ice cream, believe it or not, when I got out of high school. So I joined the Guard because my dad was an Army Guard, and he told me, "Don't go Army, go in the Air Force. Use your brain." Nothing against my Army folks, but he wouldn't let me. He wouldn't let me do it. He's like, "If you're smart enough to get in the Air Force, do it." So I got lucky, got in the Air Force, and I went to tech school, come back, and 9/11 happened.
Mm.
Okay, 9/11 happens. I get off shift at Ben and Jerry's, 7 a.m. I go to the bow shop. I'm 18 years old. Had a bow on layaway back when it was a thing.
Dude, when you could actually lay away, yeah.
Yeah. So I got paid and got my bow, sat down in front of the TV, just trying to wind down for bed at 8 in the morning. Boom. First plane hits, second plane hits. I know something's wrong. Jump on. I had bought a bullet bike who is now my wife. I met my wife not long after that. I raced 40 miles down to the base. We loaded the first F-16s that flew over New York that day. And it's something
Wow.
that changed my life forever. And it's something that's changed me so much that I have the airplane tattooed on me. The
Wow.
exact picture, over New York City
Wow.
that day. Yeah. So I was an S-16 weapons troop. Weapons loader is what we are, and load missiles and bombs on airplanes. Fuse them at the end of the runway, and off they go.
Dude, that's pretty epic. So
Yeah.
are you still in the military?
So I got out in 05, ended up hurting my back, like just from the workload that I was doing. I got out in 05, stayed in Utah, and actually got on at Hill Air Force Base as a government civilian. So in that time frame from 2006 to now, I started out as an A10 electrician. So I wired A10s for their weapon systems that upgraded over time. So the depot here replaces and changes and mods airplanes. Went from that to the gun shop, built Gatling guns for the Air Force for 4 or 5 years. Yeah, it's
Sweet.
right there, bro.
Dude, because the A-10 is the A-10 gunship. Like, it's meant for just
The A-10 is a beast. It's got a 30 millimeter gun on the front cannon, and it is 7 barrels,
just goo, 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 goo,
monster.
goo.
I was a 20 mil guy, so I built F-16, F-18, F-22 guns, and Cobra helicopter 3 barrels. So
Wow.
yeah, dude, it was the most gratifying job I've ever had working for the Air Force. I love it.
Oh, man. So are you technically an armorer, or how does that work?
No, so we were just a repair facility.
Okay.
Um, but I was just a gun builder, you know. It, as a civilian, it was an awesome job. And then I got out of that, went to be a supervisor in landing gear shop, and now I'm a program manager for Minuteman missiles and radomes and shelters for the Air Force. So yeah, man, it's been a journey. 20 years. I just got 20 years. I'm gonna shoot for 40. As long as I can tolerate some of the things that happen,
Yeah.
like this mandate bullshit. Like,
Oh,
dude, kills me.
I don't play that game
Like,
at all.
man, I'm telling you, stressful part of my life I've ever had is looking at that and what do you do? I mean,
Yeah.
so but that's a whole nother ball game. But I still love the Air Force. I still love the red, white, and blue. I still love the people. We are the best country out in the world. We just can't
Absolutely.
help it now. We can't help some of the bullshit that's going on. It's everybody's not in that boat, and that's not the America that we all stand for. There's no way.
Right.
It's
Right.
fake. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
I totally agree.
But
And
anyways,
oh, yeah, no doubt. So, one of the questions I wanted to ask you is when it comes to military personnel, and actually not even military personnel, because a lot of civilians do not know that you can actually hunt military bases, and there's typically pretty decent hunting on the bases. Do you have any experience with
yes,
that?
I do. So here at Hill, they have a permit that you can put in for online. They have a website. You have to draw a deer tag in 456 unit in Utah, which is in that zone. If you draw that, then you're eligible to put in for the Air Force Base hunt, and they give out 4 tags, no, 8 tags for 3 months. So there's 3 months, and then some are doe, some are buck, but it's awesome. I shot my first buck on Hill Air Force Base, and he's a 155 4 point, but hey, it was the
Sweet.
experience. It was about the experience, and I have him mounted up downstairs. He's cool.
Dude, absolutely. You always got to hunt your hunt. That's one of the things that I've really learned is
Yeah,
I wrote this article on the website. For all listeners, you can go to wabackcountry.com. It's called At Least It'll Eat Good, because I shot my very first buck. It was a spike whitetail. I was so jacked. And that night I was hosting a community event, and I couldn't wait to stand in front of everyone and start talking, and also tell them that I just shot my first deer. And a lot of people were like, "Oh, let's see a pic." And I show them. They're like, "Oh, yeah. Well, at least it'll eat good." And I'm like, "Ooh."
got you.
Yeah. And the point is like, yes, it is fun to measure animals. It's fun to dick measuring contest, right? Everyone wants to be the biggest, baddest,
Woo to
coolest.
score! Woo to
Yeah.
score! They always say.
Like, hell yeah. I love looking at my Pope and Young bull elk that I score and my certificate that's over here on my shelf, but it's not the end all be all.
No,
It's just something. It's a hunt in the grand scheme of all my hunting career. And so
sure.
I'm a huge proponent of hunting your hunt. You want to shoot a 150, you want to shoot a spike, you want to shoot a cow, um, a coyote. I mean, just get out, get off the couch, stop staring at the screen, and go live.
Yeah,
Life is now, and get after it.
for sure. I hate the question. So what did it score, bro? And I always tell them it scored garlic, salt, and pepper, 3 minutes on each side on high on the grill, man, and it was medium rare. That's what it scored. You know, Let's get real.
Oh man, yeah, it scored with a nice pairing of either red wine or IPA or whatever, like,
Exactly.
dude. Okay, so for all listeners who are listening to this podcast and like, give me some meat and potatoes of something I can walk away from. I actually wanted to say that there is actually a military base in Eastern Washington that is you can actually go day hunt it, and you have to check in day of.
Yeah,
You have to apply to get
it's
access.
a draw.
It's not a draw. You
Oh,
can
not
you
there.
can use your over-the-counter tag, but in order to hunt it, you can only hunt it by day, and you have to check in and check out. But a lot of times, the people at the
Oh,
gates will know where the elk are, and they'll be like, "Hey,
oh wow.
I would be there. Go check into this region," and because they have to know their land, right? There's always stuff going on out there, so
Sure.
they'll be like, "Yeah, elk are over here, deer over here. Go check it out."
Yeah, we had boundaries on the base. We couldn't pass, certain spots, but at the base we hunt on.
Yeah, I don't know, man. This world, what I'm learning now that I'm living in the state of Texas, like everyone is so quick to point a finger and be like, "This is the way," and at the end of the day, it's like each state is so different. Everyone's like, "I'd never shoot a deer over a or a deer feeder." I'm like, well, until you're in country without mountains and without hills where you can't see further than 50 yards if you're in thick timber, you kind of need
Yeah.
that deer feeder to draw them out. Um,
Yeah, you guys are loaded with like thickets and mesquite and
oh,
just thorny everything. Yeah, you want to have them deer come out.
yes,
I
dude,
get it.
mesquite. Let me tell you my introduction to mesquite. I have a 1 acre piece of land, and it is, I live in the country, so all ranch land. I got my riding lawnmower, just brand new riding lawnmower, and I'm like, yeah, I finally wanted one of these. I'm gonna go mow the yard, and there's tall grass in the back. I see some green bushes also. I'm like, dude, I'm just gonna mow it all. Like, let's just get it. I know it's gonna go, and the blade's gonna have to work a little bit. Turns out those are mesquite trees, and if those of you who don't know much about mesquite trees, they got giant thorns on them. All of my tires on my on my John Deere tractor went flat the next morning. I was like,
Welcome to Texas.
I was like, what did I get? I get a lemon? What's going on? Why are the tires going flat? Turns out I hit all mesquite trees, the little bushes. So I finally went back in the backyard, and those roots are nasty, man. I had to chainsaw the roots out of the ground to get them out. So
Wow.
yeah,
If
popping
you
dirt
want,
bike tires, everything.
so you want meat and potatoes on what? What are you interested in?
Dude, I'm interested in coyote calling, predator
Coyote
tactics,
calling.
predator tactics from the west to the east to the south. Because one of the things that when I got into coyote hunting, I was like, okay, get a call, have the wind in my face, sit down, and just start blowing. Sounds simple enough. And stand after stand after stand, nothing was coming in. Now, two things. Number one, I have a hard time sitting still, and I don't know really how much my movement has impacted my coyote hunting because
Lots.
lots. Oh, dude. So, okay. So I was gonna say, do I need to invest in a chair or a sitting pad or something like that?
Oh, yeah. If you want to be comfortable on stand, they make low profile chairs, Sly Dog Predator chair. They make the turkey chairs like Big Al likes those. They're almost like a lawn chair, but they ride low. Backrest is always awesome for sturdiness on shooting, especially longer shots. But when you get old like us, dude, you sit there on the ground, your legs are numb in 15 minutes.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. We don't have the circulation. We're not 20.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
Oh,
get a chair. Do yourself a favor. It's good on your back. It's yeah. You got to pack it in a little bit, but it's worth it.
yeah.
So yeah, chair, shooting sticks, solid base to shoot off of. Obviously, American-made Foxpro collar. Yeah,
Obviously. So,
yeah.
okay, so one of the things is I would not call in coyotes stand after stand. And one of the things that really like I had an aha moment was I wasn't ever looking for coyote sign before I went to the woods. And I was in Western Washington, heavy like timber country, not
There's
open
coyotes there.
prairie. There is, and I wasn't seeing them. So, how much scouting goes into coyote hunting, and what are you doing to ensure a higher rate of success?
So coyotes, you basically have to learn kind of what they like. I'm a big fan of yellow grass, tree lines, anywhere there's water. That's a big key. Certain times of the year, especially pup season, summer hunting. Those pups have to have a drink. Mom's got to feed them within at least a half mile to a mile of water. You're always going to have coyotes near water. That's
Hmm.
a big thing. It changes as the seasons change, the sound sequences change. You know, there's so much to know. I, I I can only touch on so many things in our little bit of time, but
Okay, so let's do sound
the fall. Let's
sequences.
focus on the sound sequence for like right now. Summertime falling into the fall, right? So right now is the time frame that there's the most coyotes on the planet. The pups are growing up. Mom and dad are about to kick them out. They call it dispersal season. So with that being said, they're kicking them off out of their dens. Get out of my territory. There's only enough food here for me to raise the next family. So these pups are out. There's the most coyotes you're ever going to get out and hunt, and they're not very intelligent. They haven't seen a lot of human activity, and you can use that to your advantage. They're hunting for one. They got to eat every day. Prey distress sounds are huge this time of year, right?
Hmm.
If you want to call coyotes that aren't very smart, you can still call in the older adults. They're still got to eat too, and there's going to be some more. There's going to be the most competition for food, so use that to your advantage. Rabbit sounds, bird sounds are huge in the fall, and all the times that I hunt in the summer and in the fall, even pup distress mixed in works really well.
Mm.
A lot of adults, still have family groups around and pups around, and if they think there's a fight going on, they kind of want to know who's up in their business
Is
in
it
their
kind of
area.
is it kind of like elk hunting where they say cow calling's actually your bread and butter because a lost cow call will bring in a bull and a cow because every elk was a calf at one point.
Right, and it can be that way. And predators, I mean, it changes day to day with predators. You could go out one day and start your stand with a lone howl, go into pup distress, and then go into a rabbit, and that may work all day long. And you could go out the next day, and it might be just pup distress, or just rabbits, or just birds. And then there's even the aspect we've found is some days you could be electronic calls, and some days it might be hand calls only. We've tried it. We've had days where electronic call, three stands, nothing. Hand calling a coyote. Go back to electronic call, nothing. Hand call all day, and kill them. It's crazy. It changes so much, dude. It is time in the field is the only thing that can help you. It's
Man, it's so interesting. I never understood, and maybe I still don't understand, is yeah, I kind of just figure you have electronic caller, you let that call just play over and 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 over. Like just be
some days, yes.
really like just because or just because they're not responding. Like at what point I mean is it really just a roll of the dice?
It's sometimes it is like I'm lucky enough to hunt with Big Al Morris and Rusty Gamble. These guys are killers. And Big Al will tell me all the time. We'll sit in a truck, ride 10 hours to go film a spot, and he'll say, I've hunted coyotes for 40 years and I ain't learned jack shit. Because they're so adaptive to every technique. And as it gets popular, you get guys that go out and buy a call and they do blare it rabbit loud as they can for 25 minutes. Every coyotes can hear very far. And if they start getting to know what sounds are, you know what I mean? So, yeah, some days you can go out there and turn it on and leave it on and they'll come in. And some days it doesn't work. And you just have to find that recipe of the day. It might be a lone howl, sit for 2 minutes, howl again, sit for 2 minutes, be quiet. and then go into a pup distress, and then boom, they show up. We don't know what triggers it, but once you find that recipe for the day, 9 times out of 10, it works all day long.
Interesting.
Don't steer away from it. Yes,
Okay.
that's a bread and butter for you. That's a meat and potatoes tip for
Okay.
sure.
What's your favorite calling sequence? Or do you have a like not trying to find what the animals are responding to, like what's your go-to? How does it work?
My go-to, if you look back at all of the old school guys that paved the way, your Randy Andersons, Alan Morris, and some of the other guys, their biggest thing is a lone howl.
Mhm.
Lots of folks start with a lone howl. I love female sore howls on the Foxpro.
Regardless of what year or what time of year, it's like all or
No, in the fall, I'll start a stand with rabbits,
okay.
just straight up rabbits. Soft. When you start a stand, I like to start soft. If the cover's tight, especially, you want to start with soft sounds, not loud volume. Because you don't want they will spook if you go crank a rabbit at 40 volume and something's close, they're gonna blow out of there, or they're either gonna come and try to eat that rabbit, but 9 times out of 10, they're gonna blow out of there. So start soft volume, and then increase your volume because then you're reaching further out on stand over time. You know what I mean?
Mhm. So
So
are you starting at like 1/4 volume or is it like if it goes up to
it just depends on
40?
the wind.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
If it's
Okay.
Yeah, wind plays a factor, wind direction, obviously in your face, your call's pointed into the wind. However far that travels at half sound. I have my presets on my Fox Pro set to 20 to 26, and the call goes to 40.
Okay.
So if that helps.
Interesting. No, that's really good advice. Though I've coyote hunted a couple times in the month of August, specifically because I was always out bear hunting, and this is early on in my hunting career where I haven't even shot a black bear at this time. But I was like, oh, I always heard that you could predator call for black bears, and so I had my Fox Pro, and I drove up into the woods where it was some state land or DNR or whatever it was. And I was like, man, it's all heavy timber. How am I supposed to find these bears? I was like, well, I got to at least if they can hear me, they should be able to come. I was like, well, they always say hunt creek bottoms or whatever. And so I sat down next to what was more or less a river, like a pretty good running stream that was loud and all that. And so I sat down on the river rock and I put the Fox Pro out, and I just was blaring every sound I could because I wanted to get it out and above the rushing water and out of the canyon that I was in. Turns out one of the very first coyotes, let's see, this was coyote number 2 or 3 that I ever shot, was on black bear cub in distress. Bear cub in distress on high volume.
And that's cool. And you know what it was for that coyote? Probably something different. Everyone can get out there and hit the rabbit sound that time of year. Something different.
Interesting.
Yep.
So,
When you're not calling on anything, try something that's unique. Chicken in distress, woodpeckers, raccoon fights, gray fox fights. That coyotes come to those big time.
Interesting. Okay. See, this is good. You also earlier mentioned, coyotes are never going to go that far from water. And here I literally shot my coyote and it fell in the river. It
Nice.
even had to cross the water to come down the opposite side. I was like, no freaking way. Although the pelt was destroyed because I was hunting with a 308 because I was expecting a black
Yep.
bear. But
Wow. Yeah, and those things will find any source of water. It's crazy. Like if you look, we're hunting down in Arizona, for instance. I don't know if you ever hunted Arizona yet.
nope, been
There
there, but haven't hunted it.
there's a lot of they pipe a lot of water, to all their fields out there. And we were looking at this pipe down there one day. We're walking to a stand, and I'm like, "Holy shit! Look at all the lick marks from the condensation on the pipe. The coyotes were licking the condensation off the pipes
Really?
to water." Yeah, that's crazy, huh? And
Dude.
like, me and Al were in New Mexico this weekend filming. We were watching old school Operation Predator 4 that he filmed, and there's some stands in California and in an orchard that him and Garvin Young were hunting. And the guys loved it when they'd show up to hunt them because those coyotes would chew on the drip lines.
And
Yeah,
destroy them, and then they
crazy,
have to replace them.
dude. Yeah, there isn't anything a coyote won't eat. or try to get a drink out of. It is crazy.
Have you ever eaten coyote?
No. Heck no. There is no way. There is guys that do it, and you know what? Hats off to them. Tear it up, guys. If that's yeah, tear it up.
I was talking with Jana Waller, and she said she's never tried coyote, but she's tried wolf, and
Really?
she said wolf is not something that she would eat again. It definitely was interesting. She said
She's so cool.
she's
I
awesome.
had a chance I had a chance to go film her here in Utah. She did a Wasatch deer tag, and we didn't get one, and I got to hang out with her and John Bear for a weekend out here, and she made us some killer antelope stew. It was to die for in the crock pot. Yeah.
John Bear. I'm John Bear. I love that guy.
He's
He
such a stud.
both people that have been on the podcast, incredible human beings. That's what I really love is when you start putting yourself out there in the hunting world, you never know who you're going to end up surrounding yourself with because you can't
True.
outgive good. And if you're putting positivity into the world, I know Janice, she always talks about the law of attraction. She's a huge law of attraction believer, and so am I. And she's like, you just put it out there, and the universe works in your favor. So, okay, you've never eaten coyote. One of the biggest questions when it comes to newer hunters is they're like, well, my granddad or my daddy, he always says you don't shoot it unless you're going to eat it. You don't kill it unless you're going to eat it. But everyone's
Right.
like, don't eat coyotes. A lot of people have been like, oh, I saw that Steve Rinella episode with Remy Warren where they cook a coyote over a barbecue, and they're like, oh, I'm not really sure about this. What do you do with your coyotes? What do you do with them after you
Uh,
shoot them?
like Big Al tells me, nothing gets wasted, man. If the fur's good, we skin them. We put them up and tan them and sell them at the fur auction, and the rest goes to the dead pile, and the crows got to eat, and yeah, it gets used.
It's a
It
circle.
nothing goes to waste
Nothing goes away. Circle of life.
for sure. But I had a coyote vest made for my wife. She's got an awesome coyote fur vest. When we go to the expos or dinners, she's rocking that thing, and they're all decorated all over my house. I got a buddy up in Alaska that has a trap line, and he makes hats, he makes gloves. Hunsaker Fur Incorporated, yeah, just awesome, dude. So he'll take some of my furs. They don't go to waste. We use them up.
Dude, that's so awesome. I love to at least get the skull off of every coyote. Because like you said, not every fur is good, or depending on what gun you're shooting with, you might be blowing giant holes. I shot a coyote this last year on my deer hunt, and I had a mentee. Actually, it was Will Weber. The episode already released on Carbontv, but I shot a coyote, and one of the things I wanted to teach him about hunting was how to skin an animal. And even though it wasn't a deer and we weren't gutting a deer, I was like, you're going to learn a lot by putting a knife into this and skinning it. So we had to skin around, like the guts were hanging out a little bit, and grabbed a stick,
Yeah,
poked them back inside. It's like, just imagine.
yeah, it could be a mess, no doubt.
Oh man, I love it. Okay, so you as a cameraman in the hunting industry, that's a high pressure job.
Dude, you have no idea. You do have an idea. You have a show. Yeah. Yeah, it adds a whole another level, another layer, level, whatever you want to call it, of excitement, but stress.
Yeah.
And especially, I'm super thankful that I hunted predators before I got the gig with Foxpro, because it's like a challenge when me and Al are on stand, or whoever's with us. It's a challenge on who sees them first.
Yes.
And most of the time I got my camera pointed where I think it's going to go down, or if I see a magpie fly in and where it lands, boom, my camera's there. There's all these little tips and tricks that you learn when you're in the field, but it is a stressful gig because anybody can pull the trigger, and it's the communication. Are you on them? Are you on them? No, there's a bush in the way. No. I mean, there's so much stuff out there. The camera lens is grabbing, a twig in front of the target you're trying to film, and
Yes.
most guys want to run manual focus. To me, I run it in an auto. I'm not faster than a camera, but if I have to hurry and go manual to do that, it's stressful, and I know for a fact that I've missed 2 coyotes in 4 years on film. Like I double punched the record one time
Oh,
on a double coming in Arizona. Super mad. Never done that. And then I missed the very first trip with Foxpro in Colorado with Al. We shoot 4 coyotes on film in the morning. He is jazzed, new camera guy, awesome footage we got. Fifth stand, it's sun is high, it's beating down on us. I'm looking through a 3-inch screen. I got to live in a 3.5-inch screen, and the sun is beating down. I don't know how to freaking turn the display up to brighten it. I'm Helen Keller because I'm the new guy. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Totally. Kyle runs in 75 yards, and Al's like, "Are you on him? Are you on him?" No, dude, I can't see him. I can't see him. The sun's in the screen. Are you on him? Are you on? And the tension's just rising and rising and rising. Yeah, this coyote, it was his lucky day. He lives on to fight another day. Al gets in the truck with me and he's just like, you gotta do this. Yeah.
I saw Big Al after the elk calling contest at the Hunt Expo this last year. So your tone of voice is right on, spot on. Shout out to you, Big Al. I can see.
Big
Hey,
Al.
he takes it serious, man. Yeah, dude, cameraman. I'll tell you this. One of the coolest things is being a mentor for people who are afraid to mentor other hunters or inspire other people in that manner. Shooting animals is awesome. I love being the trigger man. When you take somebody hunting and you allow them the opportunity to shoot, that is so even more fulfilling. And
It's
then
another high.
it's another high. And then you capture the animal on camera, and that's its own high as well. It's like, dude, I shot
It's
that, but with my camera.
it's what we say every trip in the truck on the way home is it's burned on film forever. If
Yep.
you don't capture it, it never happened. And that is the blessing behind the lens. And the stress is a good thing. It drives you to focus. It drives you to keep your head in the game. You're not on your phone on stand, out in the woods. You're running everything for the world to see. And that's the coolest aspect of it. Super blessed to get to do that job. And I fell into it. I'm actually supposed to be the backup guy, you know what I mean? And life happened and now I'm doing it more and more, and every other trip me and Tom bounce around and he takes one, I take one, or if he's got kids, I'll take it. And it's been super awesome, dude. I've been with them filming for 4.5 years now. Yeah. And I still got tons to learn, and I still get the jitters every time I'm out there till we get a couple on film, because it is stressful because I want to be good. I want the world to see what we do. And when you're at home and you can't get out because the snow's flying and you're snowed in, I want people to tune into Fox Pro Hunting TV and the Black Diamond Optics YouTube channel and watch what's going on out west.
Yeah.
I want them to come out and experience what I experience. There's things that happen in the field that you cannot recreate, you can't train for. It's something you just have to experience, and it's so awesome. And when you
Oh,
can share that with people, it's even better, dude.
I totally
It's super
agree.
cool.
I totally agree. I
Yeah.
started filming my hunts for YouTube not because I wanted to ever have a TV show or anything like that. It's like I just wanted to be able to watch my hunt again because I love hunting that
Right.
much. And then I had
Yeah.
kids, and it's like I can't come home and tell my wife and tell my children how awesome it was and have them like truly understand it and like sit down and watch this.
Yeah.
Um,
It really did take me a little while to love the camera and not so much the gun. But it's a whole nother high. And then when I get to post that, check out the new episode,
yeah.
it's fulfilling, it's cool.
I just did the voiceover for a coyote episode that's coming out here this month of August, and I'm. It was the very first time I went full cameraman the entire episode. So I was like, "Oh man, don't screw it up! Don't screw it
They're
up!"
itty bitty.
Oh,
Yep.
but I got and the one of the coolest things is we didn't have thermals at the time. This is one of the things like, hey, Rich, let's work on that thermal game. But spotlights, dude, learning how to film and get the actual coyote on camera with only spotlights, something else. And we got a couple of them, and I was like, oh, dude, yes. So
Man.
I'm super excited to
Yeah,
share that episode.
that'll be cool for sure. Yeah, we that's the beauty of thermals these days is if you buy the higher end stuff, they have recording options in them, and you can go back home, download it, edit it, post it. It's pretty awesome.
Oh, so sweet.
We
Um,
actually have a thermal episode coming out on the Black Diamond channel here shortly. It's in editing right now. So
okay, dude, I can't wait to check it out. When it comes to thermal optics, or I guess you work for Black Diamond. Go ahead and
right.
talk a little bit about it.
So I'm not no professional at night hunting. I've only been doing it for about 4 years, 3 years, somewhere in there. It's become very. It's another aspect of hunting to me. If I don't want to go home and I got the 4 days off from work, I can hit the QD mount, throw the night scope on, and ride all night long, and until I'm tired. And it is such another unique. Everything's happening at night when people are sleeping. They don't even understand what's crawling around outside. It's so cool. The thermals are high end stuff now these days. What you're looking for, I think, in a good optic is 640 sensor, 12 to 17 micron. The 12 is better. This is all technical stuff, but there's going to be guys wondering what's the higher end stuff. And 384 scope's awesome. That's the lower end sensor. Your clarity is a little different, but yeah, the Black Diamond 64 640 is awesome. TH64L, amazing scope. And we're
Dude.
gonna get you to look through one of those for sure.
Oh, I can't
So
wait. That is going to be so much fun. I remember looking through it at the Hunt Expo and
yeah,
watching everybody walk by as I'm looking through it, and I'm like,
and
dude,
it's cool, but it changes at night out in the atmosphere. The weather, the moisture in the air, all those things play into the picture and how it looks. And at night, it's even better, dude. It's so cool.
yeah.
Such cool technology.
Okay, so I love that. One of the biggest things that I've found when it comes to thermals is depth perception. That is
Yes,
so hard to judge. You think you're like 150 yards away, and it turns out you're like 40 yards away.
right. That's another beauty of the Black Diamond scopes. Every model we have right now has LRF, which is laser rangefinder, and you click a button, it pops a box up on there. It'll give you a single measurement. If you hold it down, it'll give you a scan mode. Wherever that yellow box hits, you're getting a measurement, and it's digital readout. And you just run with it. But
Dude,
for the
that's
guys that don't, for the guys that don't have a rangefinder at night, because depth perception is huge, different, way different. Rusty Gamble taught me you're sighting your gun in right at 100 yards, 50 yards, depending on what you want. At 100 yards, if you take the focus and you focus everything clear at 100 yards, and as a coyote's coming in, and if you see his ears and he looks a little out of focus, it's because he's not within 100. And that's how we started to learn to judge the depth perception and the distance is when it's in focus, it's within 100. You just start to learn
interesting.
that over time. Yeah, it's a huge help. If you don't have time to range something, and you sight at 100 or you keep your focus at 100, don't really change it,
Yeah.
it's a huge technique. Yep, it's pretty cool.
Wow, that's truly phenomenal. That is, that's a nugget right there that not many people have that experience to be able to share. That's huge.
Well, it I learned it from one of the best guys that hunt in the West, man. Rusty's a champ. He kills. I hope you get him on the podcast because he is he's a coyote in a man's skin. He is. I mean, the guy lives in Idaho. He walks out the door. He's 10 minutes from anything he wants to hunt. And he
Wow.
kills coyotes like no tomorrow. And he's actually got an awesome YouTube channel, Coyote Assassins. If you check it out, he's super unique, very cool dude, very humble. You'll never see him talk trash. And I'm glad to hunt with him and call him one of my buddies. And he's on Black Diamond with me. Just super awesome.
Dude, coyote Coyote Assassins. I honestly, I'm just pulling up his YouTube channel right now. I think I've
He's got a
subscribed.
huge following,
Yeah, dude, almost
and it
52,000 people.
and it's just raw. I mean, raw content. He uses misses. I mean, he doesn't edit hardly anything out. You're with Rusty. That's what's cool about his channel.
Yeah,
There's nothing there's nothing scripted. There's no retakes. There's no it's real. It's awesome.
dude, that's so epic. People will get hooked if they just give themselves a chance to do this. And success, just a taste of it. It's like if you keep asking a girl out on a date and they always say no to you, it's defeating. It's like, oh,
That's coyote hunting 101 for sure.
yeah,
And that's honest to God, it weeds out the guys that don't want to do it. Like they want to do it, they'll go and buy the call and they'll get all the fancy stuff and they'll go do 20 stands and they'll have failure on every one. And next thing you know, you look on KSL classifieds in Utah and there's their call for sale. Gave up. And you know what? It ain't for everybody. It isn't. Go back to hunting deer, but at least thank a predator hunter because that 200-inch buck survived because of one of us.
yes,
Do your part. Do your part.
yes.
Yeah.
Dude, I might be going coyote hunting Saturday night. My very first, one of my very first connections here in Texas, is a guy. Shout out to Grant Gardner. He's an outfitter. He used to be an outfitter. I forget exactly what he does, but I was talking to him and he was like, "Dude, I got too many coyotes on game cameras and I need to take care of them before deer season." I was like,
Do it.
just let me know, bro. Just let me know. I'm coming. And so this Saturday night, I think we're gonna go lay the hammer down. So we'll see.
You ought to. It's a blast for sure. Do you live in Predator Paradise, Texas? Amazing. I haven't got a chance to come down there. I did get to go film with Big Al and Brian Trussell in Texas this year, but I didn't hunt.
Yeah.
But Texas is you need to go do it for sure.
Well, it's time. It's time for sure. Rich, what other little tips and tricks do you have so far for any coyote hunters or predator hunters that want to get started?
To get started, I gotta say, you don't need to get the fancy custom built rifle. Go get you a Ruger American. They're $400. Go find out if you like it. Get you Foxpro makes a call lineup for every budget. Go out there and get you the Hammerjack. Go see if you like it. Pay attention to seminars. Pick up a book, an article, read an article. Look on YouTube. Just learn from. Getting in the field is probably the biggest tip. You know what I mean? And don't be afraid to reach out to the guys that are working for Fox Pro or, the guys that have done it. Message them, PM them, hey, I've just started, what do you recommend? There's guys out there that are willing to help and get you on your feet. And it's a dying sport, they say. And if you're not out there mentoring and bringing on new folks, that's not doing your part either. So you don't have to give them your prized possession, honey hole spots, or, you let them go out there and learn, but at least throw them a bone here and there and get
Yeah.
them out there. And yeah, for sure, man. And yeah, good gun, good call, good ground, go scout, drive around, scat,
That's the thing.
go
Yeah.
house, go howl something at night and see if they're there. You got to know where coyotes are to hunt them, and you got to believe that they're in there for one. You you don't know how many times you drive by a spot. That looks pretty good. Maybe not. And then if you don't go check it out, you don't know. So get off the couch, get outdoors. The metaverse crap ain't gonna fly when it comes to coyote hunting. You got to get out there for real. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Dude, I gotta go. We're gonna have to wrap this podcast up. I'm gonna go step outside and make a howl real quick.
Do you, man? Do
Oh
you?
man, I love it.
Yeah.
Go
One
ahead.
of the bigger tips for night hunting though that I found is you don't need to call loud at night. The air is thinner at night. Turn that volume down. It travels pretty far in that nighttime air. Daytime it's different, but nighttime low volume has been pretty successful.
Interesting.
So
What's your
yeah, don't go
favorite?
out there and blare.
What's your favorite Fox Pro sound?
Whoo, man, they got a ton of new sounds. Uh, my favorites has 50 sounds, 50 presets, and we just joined forces with MFK Game Calls, and they have a sound library. So for my favorite Foxpro sound right now is probably Mrs. McCottontail. And then for MFK, uh, is probably Pound Town, and it's a coyote. Yeah, it's a coyote fight, pup fight sound. It's money. Those guys at MFK are studs too.
So cool. Aren't they out of like Georgia or Alabama or something like that down
I
south?
think Arkansas. I think Arkansas.
Arkansas.
Yeah, I think so.
They hunt the timber a lot, which I really respect.
Those are some shotgun and some bitches right there. They shotgun, man, and we hunt with shotguns too, but we have a rifle on stand because we're wide open country. Those boys straight up pump action shotguns.
Dude,
Love it.
870 for days, bro.
Yes.
Oh man, I love it. I love it. Well, Rich, you are an absolute stud. I'm honored that you got to be on this podcast, brother. Really, this has been just a heck of a time. Listeners, I hope you guys really enjoyed this. Rich, how can people get a hold of you, follow you, ask questions, whatever's best?
Facebook, I got a Facebook account. I'm constantly on there, and Instagram. It's primary_predator is my call sign up there on Instagram. Um, you can check us out on Black Diamond Optics YouTube channel. Here and there on Foxpro Hunting TV, they let me get behind the gun, but usually I'm behind the lens, which is cool, super cool. But yeah, look me up, message me. I'm here to help, and waterfowl season too. I'm a big swan guy here. I take people swan hunting just for fun, and that season's coming, and we got to get you out to do that too.
I need to. I need to. Is it too late to put in for the swan tags in Utah?
This year it is. Yeah, it's gone.
Okay.
So, but I'll let you know for sure next year. And I appreciate you having me on, dude. And this has been super fun. If we need to do a part 2, man, we got a lot to dig into.
Dude, just wait till we get to do this in person. Then it gets just real wild. It's awesome. Guys, thank you so much for listening to this episode. I'm your host, Johnny Mack, Rich Gonzales, and I hope you guys just really enjoyed this. Remember that mentorship is conservation. Hunting has the power to transform lives through primal adventure, and you can never outgive good. Freedom on, everybody. If you enjoyed this podcast, please like, subscribe, share, and as always, stay soulful. If you enjoyed today's podcast, I'd love it if you could go ahead and give this a rating as well as subscribe. Also, you can check us out on Instagram under the Soulful Hunter Podcast. Make sure to tag us in pictures and posts and use the hashtag Soulful Hunter. To find out more about the Soulful Hunter Podcast, go to soulfulhunter.com and be sure to follow the podcast as we are going to be bringing you a lot of great information, insight, and changing lives through primal adventure. I look forward to connecting with you on the next episode. Stay tuned and stay soulful. What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Johnny Mack here. Just wanted to give you a heads up that if you are looking for a community that is open to discussion as far as mentorship, conservation, the wild, becoming a better person, and all of that, there is a group for you on Facebook, and it is called Soul Seekers. Soul Seekers, we are all about making ourselves a better person. We're all about making sure hunting lasts for generations to come and encouraging people to get plugged in. Whether you are someone who has something to give or someone who needs to soak it up like a sponge, this is a community for you, and I strongly encourage you that if you're on Facebook to join Soul Seekers, and if you're not on Facebook, hop on there just for that group. It is only going to be as powerful as we all make it. And so just remember that life happens for you, it doesn't happen to you, and that you can't outgive good. You can't outgive good, people. I want you to understand that, and I want you to believe it, because when we believe that and we lead with courage and we lead with intention, lives are changed, lives are transformed, just like on this podcast, transformation through primal adventure. Be blessed. Enjoy this episode. Talk soon.